looks like somebody broke a pull cable. I guess at least it's not the push cable, because I couldn't. I guess it's a 2-cable system. I'm learning all this myself. So pulled the kill switch off. This is the I guess the throttle anchor, and I need to replace this section of cable, and it looks like that means I'm gonna have to remove the tank. So fine, I'll bring you back. Okay, and it looks like in order to remove the tank, the instrument cluster has to come out. So I guess, what is it, the knee bone is connected to the thigh bone connected. I had to move the master brake cylinder and front brake handle down so I could get room to pull the kill switch off, so I could get room to get the throttle cable out. Yeah, and then there's the culprit, the anchor from the old throttle cable. And I picked up a new one online. I think it was like a $50 cable. I want to just jam a gun in my ribs. All right, so at first I was hoping maybe I could just repair the cable, but nah, it's got to be replaced. In order to replace it, I got to remove the tank. In order to remove the tank, I got to remove the instrument cluster. So the instrument cluster is out. It's separated from the speedo cable. There looks like there was 2 pin connectors that I've disconnected, but they're these shrink wrap crimps that don't seem to want to release. Yeah, so I'm kind of stuck, because I think in order to get the tank off, the cluster has to come off, and I can't seem to get the cluster off. There was one of their anchor bolts way down here that I pulled out, and of course I've got the fuel line. I've turned the petcock to off, so that should keep the fuel from leaking out of the tank, I think, right? Hello, anybody out there? Give me a yes, give me a no. And then I just need to remove that hose clamp, and then I can actually start the repair. Whew! Took me a minute and 15 seconds just to explain all that. All right, I'll bring you back. Okay, seats are off. I've got all the fasteners off the tank. There's one on each side here, one over by the choke. And then this cluster panel has just been a real pain. As you can see, there's two pin connectors, and there's the speedo cable. But I think somebody's been in here before, as you can see. And I've got these 2 I think they must have been part of the pin connector, maybe. Because if you take a look here, it looks like there's some connectors that just weren't used. So, yeah. But it's got to come off, because I got to get the tank off to be able to get the throttle cable. So I guess I got to cut these, and then I guess I'll just re-crimp them, or I don't know what I'm going to do. All right, bring you back. Yeah, it's been raining, and I don't have a garage, so I'm kind of doing this piecemeal. Maybe in my next life I'll have a garage. All right, and I keep my fingers out of the way when I'm filming. All right, finally get a brake. It's a push-pull, so it's 2-part throttle. It looks like the pull, this part broke, which is this part, which when I fish around down here ends up being, I think, this one. Is that right? Let's see here. Yep, that's the one that's wiggling. So it's this one. So I guess I just disconnect this, although I should probably count the threads that this is spun on, because there's probably a certain tension on this throttle cable, and maybe I can skip. I probably should count how many times I'm backing it off. All right, and then I can set the new one in on that. Okay, I'll bring you back in a little bit. Okay. Essentially what happens is it's hard to see. It sits on the front of the car. There's essentially a throttle spring plate that it anchors into, and I don't know if I can get you in here. to see it. Well, I had to monkey with it. It was a pain, but I managed to get it. And then I just pulled the throttle cable out essentially from the throttle. So I've got my replacement over there. I guess I pull this one out, feed the new one in, hook it up, recrimp those wires, tank goes back on, instrument cluster goes back on, speedo cable gets tied up, 2-pin connectors, and look, it's as simple as that. Easy peasy, right? All right, bringing you back. Look what I got going on here. So now, I probably still need to adjust it maybe. I think you want a little bit of slack, but if you take a look down in there, when the carb will open and close based on the throttle position. So yeah, so fixed, new throttle cable. Now I just have to put everything back together. It looks like it's gonna rain. So I don't know, I'm kind of tired. I'm gonna take a break and then just bring you back, you know. I mean, do you really need to see everything get put back together? I'm sure you know how stuff gets put back. I may bring you along for the crimps when I get the instrument panel put back together, the instrument cluster. But you know, everything else is just bolts on a gas tank or whatever. You get the idea. All right.